The meeting is now reconvened to open session. The board would like to remind the public that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. It is also available via live stream for the public through links found on the front page of the RUSD website. Trustee Hupp, will you please report out action taken in closed session?
Yes, thank you. In closed session, the board voted to approve the appointment of Teresa Prestige for the position of Assistant Director, Special Education, and the vote was unanimous.
Thank you. Tonight we have Adriana Boyce from Whitney High School as our student board representative. Adriana, would you please introduce the color guard and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Rocklin Unified School District's Junior ROTC Color Guard in the Pledge of Allegiance. The commander and U.S. flag bearer for this evening's color guard is Cadet Captain Titan Owens. The state flag is carried by Cadet Captain Sophia Burkhalter. The right guard is Cadet Colonel Clayton Hove. The left guard is Cadet Major Kevin Laguna.
Thank you so much, Color Guard. They do such a wonderful job. We're so lucky to have them. We will now move to item 5.1, our special recognition and presentation portion of the meeting. Chief Dosage, will you please introduce our family partners in education recognition tonight?
Good evening, President Price, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. The Family Partners in Education program allows the Rocklin Unified School District to recognize family engagement and involvement to help our students achieve excellence during the school year. Rocklin High School Principal David Stewart is introducing the Tumajin family for tonight's Family Partners in Education recognition.
Good evening, Board President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock, and our wonderful family that we're recognizing tonight. First, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this. I think you've heard me talk about the little triangle where you have to have amazing students, which we know we have, an invested staff, and then tonight we really get to celebrate the parents and the community support that we get, which is such a strong backbone that we have. And tonight we recognize Corey Tumajin, and for her work, not just at Rocklin High School, but for her years at Valley View, at Granite Oaks, and then for the last 7 as a parent club member and do it all at Rocklin High School. I can't tell you she is at every event and has brought new stuff to our school, graduation lawn signs, upgraded the marquee, that water polo team mom, I believe, at any kind of volunteer, she's there. She's actually at so many events, it became my barometer to see if I was doing my job right, is if I showed up and Corey was there. So, but I think the thing I value the most, and I'm very sincere about this, and I used to give her a hard time about it, is the questions that she would ask at the parent club meetings, which led to conversations that were deep and meaningful. And really, it allowed Rocklin High School to be better because we were better prepared, understanding a parent's perspective. And so it really was that partnership. So she was more than a volunteer, she was a pulse for what was going on. And also just an incredible ambassador for our school. So I can't say enough about Corey and all that she's done for Rocklin High School. And I'm so glad we got to do it tonight because in this process, we found out that they're moving to Idaho this summer. So we were thrilled for you. It's Rocklin's loss, and we thank Kevin and Dylan for their commitment and sacrifice, giving up their mom all the nights that she was out with us. So Corey, come on up. Congratulations. Well deserved. We have some goodies here for you.
This is so fun for me to do because we got to work together on Parent Club all those years ago, and you're the kind of family we wish had like 5 kids, right? Because you were so good to serve for so many years and to be so helpful. One thing that I really appreciate about Corey, and I'm sure you would agree, is that you're just so easygoing no matter what. Even if stress, Lindsay, you would know, is up here, Corey's like, oh yeah, no worries, I got it. Like with a big smile on her face. Look at her, just smile at no matter what. So just really appreciate all of the effort and time that you've put in and served so well. And we definitely need more parents like you and appreciate you so much. And you will definitely be missed, a huge loss for Rocklin High School and also for our community, but best of luck to your family. Icing on the cupcake for your family, and look at all the presents Principal Stewart brought.
And then we're going to take a picture over here. Yeah, come on up, Nancy.
Chief Dosanjh, will you please introduce our employee recognition tonight?
President Price, trustees, and Superintendent Stock. Tonight for our employee recognition, Valley View Elementary Principal Sherry Anderson will join us in introducing Lisa Kazmarek.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. Lisa and I were just chatting and recalling that she didn't really apply to Valley View. She applied to Cobblestone. Unfortunately, Kathy Goddard called me and said, hey, I've got a really good one. You need to grab this one fast. And so she ran right over to my school, and it's history from there. But let me tell you a little bit more about her. She's been an incredible instructional aide in our special ed classrooms since August 2022. Over the past few years, she has worked with children ages 4 through 12, each with their own special needs. From the minute she joined our team, it was clear that that work was her calling. Her patience, calming presence, and sense of humor create an environment in the classroom where students feel safe, valued, and supported. Every day, Lisa faces challenges, but she handles each one of them with grace. Whether it's de-escalating a tense moment or simply being a calm presence, she always responds with respect and understanding. She knows exactly when to step in and when to step back, providing just the perfect balance of support. Her knowledge of strategies to employ are extensive, and she has a remarkable ability to quickly diffuse a situation and bring peace to a classroom. Outside of her regular duties, Lisa is a crucial part of our crisis team, always ready to jump in when things get a little bit tough. One of the things that truly sets her apart is her ability to connect with people around her. She's an intuitive teammate, always reading the room and swiftly responding to whatever the situation calls for. Lisa is a creative problem solver, a role model. She never hesitates to lend a hand and always offers encouragement to others. Her positive attitude is infectious. She never gets discouraged and always lifts everyone else up. On her own time, she likes to do research of how to work better with our students, and she always shares what she learns with the team. It's clear that she's always looking for ways to grow and improve. What she really shines with is her deep pride in her students. When they succeed, no matter how small or how big, her face lights up with joy, and she will spend the day sharing with others. It's this genuine care and dedication that make her such an amazing part of our team. Lisa goes above and beyond and sharing above and beyond in everything she does, whether it's helping students, supporting a colleague, or brightening the room with her positivity. Lisa Kazmarek is more than an instructional aide. She's a kind, compassionate, hardworking individual who's made a difference to all of us at Valley View, and we are grateful she's on our team.
What incredible words those were. I hope you can print that out and keep that. Oh, keep that. Oh, it's even laminated. I love that. I was sitting there saying, what more could I say? I just thought those words were absolutely beautiful. And I just have to say, the combination of patience, a calming presence, and your ability to have a sense of humor, you don't see that often. And so the beauty of all three of those, clearly you are living out a calling that you have to really encourage these children, but also staff. I thought that was beautiful that you shared just the difference you're making, not only with students, but also with the staff on campus. And so on behalf of the board, it is my honor to recognize you and say thank you. Thank you. You're gonna make me cry right now, but thank you for going above and beyond. And please, it sounds like you don't have any difficulty days. It sounds like you have an incredibly positive personality, but in the few rare moments that might pop up, I hope you look back at that and you read those words that were spoken about you, because every single one of them were absolutely beautiful. And again, it's my honor on behalf of the board to recognize you. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, yes. And we have a little gift from Icing on the Cupcake for you. So just want to recognize Icing on the Cupcake. And, oh, come on over. We can take a photo together. Got it. Sorry. Woman of the hour is asking.
Before I get to you, Dr. Lamoche, it is pretty cool that we have Principal Stewart and Principal Anderson here, because you guys are both retiring and unplanned. That's just happened to be your rotation. We will really miss your presenting and your, most of all, your contribution to our schools and families and students. So thank you. Okay, Dr. Tony Lamoche, Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, would you please introduce our new principal at Rocklin High School?
President Price, good evening, trustees, Superintendent Stock, Miss Georgia. 'Tis the season to hire new leaders. Fa la 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 la. Can you believe it? I haven't even had a singing lesson. I'm excited tonight to bring about 2 new principals into the district, not necessarily new to the district, but new to the position. So I'm going to start with the new principal at Rocklin High School, Mr. Michael Pappas. Come on down. Mr. Pappas, though new to this position, not new to Rocklin High School, spent many years as a mathematics teacher, was also a coach, very focused on student achievement and collaborating with colleagues and growing his curriculum. In addition, he did jump ship one year, but we brought him back the next as an assistant principal in 2017, started at Rocklin High School. And I just want to share with the panel that, in my experience, sometimes for the internal candidate, it is harder than for the external candidate because everybody knows you. But I will say in the debrief, which I get the pleasure to do all of them, the amazing things about what a great guy and what a great leader and how excited the huge room of people were to bring you about as the next leader. So I want to congratulate you and welcome you as the new principal at Rocklin High.
President Price, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Stock, I just want to say it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here tonight. Tony, I appreciate you talking a little bit about the past, and I I won't go long, but I just want to say that it was about 17 years ago when I had the opportunity to come out to Rocklin to interview. And I walked into the office, and at that moment, Assistant Principal David Bills came up, shook my hand, welcomed me for being there. I was a little early, but he welcomed me, and that meant so much. And then by the end of that day, after I had the opportunity to interview, I knew that was the school I wanted to be at, and I wanted to come out and be a part of this community. So really, I'm so thankful for just the opportunities that I've had here in Rocklin Unified throughout that time to work with so many fantastic colleagues who have helped me to grow as an educator, who have inspired me to grow as an educator. And really, one of the first things I noticed coming here to Rocklin was just a community that truly believes in education and supporting our kids and really providing the pathway for them to have the best future possible. And so, as a future principal of Rocklin High, I want to make it my mission to ensure that we continue that tradition here in Rocklin. I do want to just thank our Board of Trustees for all of your support, both personally and also for our schools and our community, our colleagues here at Rocklin Unified School District. Appreciate all the support. And then also just want to thank all of our colleagues in RUSD and then our colleagues, especially at Rocklin High. Just all the support there. For me, it truly is a family, a place that I love to come to every day because I know that our colleagues give it their all for our students. Also, want to give a huge thank you to my wife, Megan. She is pure gold, and she's a teacher here in Rocklin Unified at Granite Oaks, and she inspires me. I get to see what she does every day, the work that she puts in to support her students and to show that she truly cares about them makes me want to come and do the same at Rocklin High. And then also want to thank my daughter, Rosalind. She was here 8 years in a baby carrier, and now and she's here once again as a second grader at Parker Whitney. And when I see her each day, it also gives me that inspiration knowing that our kids are our future. And it really drives me to want to come and do the best job that I possibly can because not just for my daughter, but for all of our kids in Rocklin to ensure that they have the best education and the best opportunities as they move forward. So thank you so much. It's an honor and truly a pleasure. I will look forward to serving as principal of Rocklin High School.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I shouldn't have looked at your wife because she made me get emotional when I saw that. When other people cry, then I cry. So I will put maybe my hand here. But you know, you have huge shoes to fill, and I will cry when we have to say goodbye to Principal Stewart as well, but I'm confident that you're going to do an amazing job. I loved seeing how unanimous that school is in support of you. You have so much staff support that is just going to be huge and such a blessing for you. I personally will speak, having my youngest of fifth, you know their names, you know the students' names on campus, and they feel that from you. They see that. That's a really unique talent and gift that you have, and you know something about them. And I appreciate that a lot. It's huge. It's very unique, and I'm really grateful for that. So excited for you as a board. We're here to support you. Let us know what we can do. We have the utmost confidence. You're going to do an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, President Price. Thank you, Board of Trustees. Thank you, Superintendent Stock.
The board would like a picture with these two new principals after we're done. Okay? We would just like to do a picture with the board members after. Will you guys just not leave after we do this next one, okay? We want two pictures with our two new principals. Thank you. Okay, we're ready.
President, you
5.4.
Me? Oh, that's awesome.
Sure, jump right in. Please continue and introduce the new Valley View elementary principal.
Thank you, President Price. Another exciting introduction, big shoes to fill, but we're super excited to introduce to you the new principal at Valley View Elementary School, Miss Kylie Bray. Come on down. And we love to keep them internal. Our leaders come from within. Kylie has served many roles with us. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is her knowledge and just her leadership of instruction. She was most recently a program specialist for us, where she was part of our intervention program, led various curriculum implementations, was also a part of RVC, which is still in existence, but she was the assistant principal and was very helpful getting that up and off the ground and running successfully during our time with COVID. She's been an instructional coach. She was also a teacher on special assignment. She's had many different roles, and just to think about second and third grade at RVC, so she's done independent study. I'm a fifth grade teacher and a fourth and fifth grade combo teacher, and so really what she's bringing is such an in-depth knowledge and amount of experience, and I can share again, just the interview panels, just overwhelming confidence in her and excited to bring her about and feel like she is just going to be a great match. So I'd like to introduce to you Kylie Bray.
President Price, board members, and Superintendent Stock, thank you for having me. I am deeply honored to be able to have the confidence of both you and my colleagues as the next principal of Valley View Elementary. I am honored to have had the path that I have had. I moved to Rocklin after being in teaching for about 8 years and knew that the family community was something that was really important to us, and that began as a teacher and then ended up having children in the system, and then also getting to work with so many wonderful colleagues that had confidence in me, including Principal Hannah Anderson, who has also moved up through the ranks, but working with Bill McDonald and lots of teachers across the district, learning from them, and then really getting to get my feet wet and hands dirty and all the things that you learn as an educator when you move out of the classroom. And this next step is really something that I'm very excited about. The Valley View community is amazing. Sherry Anderson has some very big shoes to fill, but I'm honored to follow behind her and help make Valley View and continue that honor and leadership with her. So thank you for having me. Thanks for your confidence and for the confidence of my colleagues. I've heard from so many different individuals who said, yay, we're excited for you. And I too am very excited and honored to take this next step. So thank you very much for having me.
You have been such a rock star at the district office and are so well respected and so professional, and we are just really, really excited for you, excited for those families and students and staff at Valley View. You're going to do a great job. And again, you have our confidence, and also if there's anything we can do to better support you, please let us know. We're excited.
Thank you. And
thank you.
Sorry, I remembered, but my family is here as well, and that's a huge piece because that's my village that helps me keep going. So I apologize for adding a little bit extra, but my husband Josh is here, and 2 of my 3 children. My third is at a track meet right now. So my youngest Addie and Haley, who have gone through the Sierra school, and then also my in-laws who are part of our huge village that allows me to enjoy my career, but also be able to be mom and family members. So Rob and Nancy are here as well. So huge thank you to them as well.
Thank you. No? Thank you so much. All right, we will next welcome Vice President Elizabeth Salazar to present the CSEA report.
Good evening, President Price, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Stock. I had the great pleasure to hang out with people on Thursday on the prize patrol, and it was amazing. I had the honor to stand before you today and celebrate a group of exceptional individuals who represent the heart and the soul of our district. Today I want to recognize and commend 5 outstanding employees of Rocklin Unified that have earned the distinction of being named Employees of the Year. These individuals not only excel in their respective roles, but also embody the dedication, professionalism, commitment, and define the values of CSEA. First, we acknowledge Nadine Coldwell, Food and Nutrition Services at Park and Whitney. Nadine's hard work and passion ensure that our students receive nutritious meals, contributing their well-being and success every day. Next, we recognize Emily Buck from Technical Services. Here at the district office, Emily's technical expertise, and unwavering support behind the scenes keep our systems running smoothly and ensure that our educators and students have the tools they need to succeed. We are also proud to celebrate Chris Gavin from Custodial and Maintenance Services at Springview Middle School. Chris' dedication in maintaining a clean, safe, and welcoming environment allows our students and staff to thrive, and his efforts often go unnoticed, but they are deeply appreciated. Christine Gillis from our paraprofessional services at Breen is also deserving our recognition. Christine's compassion and dedication to supporting our students, helping them reach their full potential, providing the care and attention they need to succeed in academically and personally. Finally, we celebrate Michelle Linginger from Clerical and Administrative Services at Whitney High School. Michelle's organizational skills and attention to detail ensure the administrative operations of the school is running efficiently, allowing educators to focus on the matters most, teaching and supporting our students. While we are incredibly proud of their individual accomplishments, we are equally proud of them as members of the CSEA. They are not just exemplary employees, they are part of a larger community of individuals who work tirelessly, often behind the scenes, to ensure our students have the best possible educational experience. Their dedication straightens our entire school district, and their service is a testament to the values we uphold. In addition to celebrating these amazing individuals, I want to highlight that CSEA continues to invest in the personal growth of and development of our employees. Recently, we sent 2 of our paraprofessionals to the CSEA Para Education Conference, where they had opportunities to meet other paraprofessionals and participate in 2 days of in-depth training and instruction. This experience not only allowed them to enhance their skills, but also create an invaluable opportunity for network and sharing best practices with each other in the field. On behalf of the CSEA, I thank the Rocklin School Board for your continued support of our employees and for recognizing the importance of the essential work they do. Nadine, Emily, Chris, Christine, and Michelle are true role models, and we are privileged to work alongside them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sweet of you to call them out. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, we will now move to item 7.1, comments and report from our student board representative. Adriana, would you please share your report?
Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Stock. Here are a few updates from our schools. Rock Creek is ready to finish at the last trimester of the school year strong. They are gearing up for their last round of intervention in both reading and math and continuing to strengthen their teaching and learning in those areas. Rock Creek is also looking forward to its annual Pizza Bingo Night this Friday, April 4th. Their 4th graders are looking forward to their Big Coloma field trip on April 25th, where they will learn all about the gold rush. At Parker Whitney Elementary, they're excited to share the progress of their spring activities. Their track season has kicked off, and they're also proud to have girls on the run team this year, fostering both physical activity and teamwork. Their dedicated parent and PTC board member, Emily Boswell, is once again supporting their students with another talent show, providing a wonderful opportunity for students to showcase their talents. Their student leadership group, Panther Parliament, recently completed a successful coin drive, benefiting the Whitney High School Leukemia and Lymphoma fundraiser, showing their commitment to supporting important causes. Looking ahead, they are excited for their spring book fair and root beer float night, both just around the corner. The much-anticipated Gold Dust or Bust play will take place next week, with their fourth graders bringing history to life with their hard work and creativity. Additionally, their third cycle of Panther Parade has begun, and they look forward to seeing their Panthers grow through targeted enrichment and intervention opportunities. They're proud of all their achievements in upcoming events, and they continue to celebrate both their students' growth and involvement in these exciting activities. Sunset Ranch is looking forward to both their annual PTC family picnic on April 25th and their annual skate night at Roller King on the 29th. Additionally, students at Sunset Ranch in grades 3rd through 6th have already begun CASP state testing preparation. They are looking forward to showing what they know and have learned during their testing weeks in May. At Twin Oaks, they were fortunate to have the Rocklin High School athletic leadership students visit during morning recess to lead organized games with their Timberwolves. Their students had a great time playing alongside these positive high school role models. They are looking forward to their next visit. Earlier this week, they enjoyed delicious smoothies at lunch, thanks to their incredible food services department. Additionally, third graders are gearing up for a fact fluency challenge with an exciting ice cream sundae reward party. Meanwhile, 3rd through 6th graders are taking the MAP assessment, which provides valuable insights into their academic progress. Corey Trail enjoyed their most joyous event of the season, Desfile de la Primavera, a beloved tradition where their TK through first grade students paraded through the school on decorated bikes and scooters. The entire school came together to cheer them on, creating a heartwarming spectacle of creativity and springtime celebration. They were also honored to host a school-wide neurodiversity assembly, an important step in fostering inclusivity and understanding among their students. Two of their very own educators shared personal experiences with neurodiversity, helping to build empathy and awareness within their school. This assembly was a profound reminder of the diverse strengths and perspectives that each student and staff member brings to their campus. Additionally, their 3rd and 4th grade STP class embarked on their very first field trip to Strikes Bowling. This trip provided an opportunity for students to engage in teamwork, practice social skills, and of course have a fantastic time outside of the classroom. Field trips like this not only enrich their curriculum, but also give students a chance to connect with each other in new and exciting ways. At Corey Trail Elementary, they have been striving and succeeding in providing a well-rounded and inclusive educational experience for every student. At Sierra Elementary, their Sharks and staff have been busy. Their 4th graders performed Gold Dust or Bust, showcasing their knowledge of California Gold Rush history. Also, their students will perform in the annual school talent show this Friday and in the annual multicultural school-wide dance show next Friday. They give a big thanks to Sierra parent Alex Shadell and her organization International Dance Arts Collective for designing dances that are aligned to each grade level's IB units of study. And thanks to the Sierra PTC for providing the show. Sierra's Student Council is also working with the Soy Club at Whitney High School and will host Chuck Your Change events on campus this Friday to raise funds for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Last month, Sierra celebrated Neurodiversity Week as well, with special lessons about neurodiversity and posters on campus with famous neurodiverse people. The Sharks also got sensory stickers and bracelets to represent their care for each other and their diversity. Finally, Sierra staff is working on harnessing the power of AI to enhance the classroom. AI has already helped make strong student groups make songs to pop music tunes to help students retain difficult concepts and change up engagement routines. This week, Whitney High School is taking part in a competitive election week that culminates with next year's elected positions on Friday. Additionally, this past weekend, students enjoyed an exciting Great Gatsby-inspired junior prom at the California Automobile Museum. Finally, the much-anticipated senior ball hosted at the Masonic Temple in Sacramento at the end of April is nearing. Everything is going great at all of the schools. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's all. It sounds like a lot. Fantastic. Any comments from the board and superintendent tonight?
I can start with a couple. Thank you for all of that. It's exciting to
Of
hear what's
course.
going on as our school year is wrapping up. Wanted to share a couple things. I know it hasn't been that long since we had our last meeting, but it's a busy time. It was really cool. I got some video and photos shared with me. The Rocklin Chamber of Commerce has a program called Leadership Rocklin. I think we all have taken part in that. And they chose for their project to go to Rocklin Elementary School and do an update to their playground. And they painted a bunch of really cool interactive games and just graphics, and it turned out really awesome, and I hope the kids are already enjoying it. I wanted to mention the Crystal Apple Awards. President Price helps to host that. It's a really inspirational event. We have LDS students in our community who recognize teachers from Rocklin High School, from Whitney High School, that have made an impact on their lives and on their education. And I just don't know, we're so involved in things that go on in the district, but it doesn't always come up where we can hear it from the students themselves and hear that emotion and then hear that teacher then speak to them as well. And it's just always very moving, and I really appreciated being there for that. It was excellent. I was also able to go help out at the Parker Whitney Casino Night parent fundraiser. I just got a little update. They had a great event. They raised over $7,000, and they said that they will be using that to fund Pebble Go, IXL, Art Docent, and they also make sure that they have several free family events at the school every year. So it was lots of fun. I think we got notified, and I heard that Rucola Elementary School was honored as a 2025 California Distinguished School, and they will be having some recognition for that. I hope they're all feeling very excited and proud of themselves for the work that they're doing there. And then lastly, part of that, I learned some of these things. I had a lot of conversations since our last meeting with principals of our sites just to prepare for our agenda tonight, and I'm looking forward. I felt like the conversations were super valuable, and I'll be able to share some of what I got from them as we go into our agenda a little deeper. So, thanks.
Well, I first have to say, you started out your report, which was phenomenal. You did a great job with last trimester. And you caught me there because I can't believe we're in our last trimester. How do you feel about the end of the year coming up?
It's definitely come up really fast. I feel like yesterday was October, and then now it's college decisions, and it's about to be graduation and everything.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we are cheering you on. Know that you have 5, 6 cheerleaders here cheering you on and excited to hear more about your plans. I know you shared before. Did you make final decision yet or not yet?
I'm technically committed to Texas Christian University, but I recently got accepted into the University of California, Berkeley. So now I'm debating both, and I both got academic merit scholarships for both. So it's, my heart is still with TCU, but my brain is telling me to give Berkeley a really good chance. So I'm going to go toward the college with my dad again. So I'll decide. The official decision date for colleges is May 1st, but we'll see.
Well, you still have some time, and I'm sure
Yes.
whatever you decide will be a wonderful opportunity for you. So always great having you here, and I'm glad we get you just a little bit longer. But it just struck me when you said first trimester or last trimester. Well, congratulations on that exciting new news, and good luck with the decision.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple echoes, but I want to echo them because I just wanted to say my appreciation as well for the Crystal Apple Awards. I just think that is just such a powerful event every year to be able to watch students nominate and speak publicly about their teacher, and to see the teacher stand there while they do that. I just think it's just so powerful, and I think I have tears in my eyes every single time. And so I just wanted to do a shout out and appreciation to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for hosting that. I just think that's a beautiful gift to our community, so thank you for doing that. Also, the Leadership Rocklin project. I promise these were already on my notes, but it was so fun being out there. I had a few events on that Saturday, so I got to pop in and see, and people were just so excited. We had firemen, we had police officers, we had business owners in our community all coming together. I mean, they've been working on this project all year long, but all coming together that one day to just do this great goodwill project for students. And it was great. I got to talk to some of the staff that were out, some of the PTC that were out, and you could just feel a rejuvenation that it was more than just paint. And it kind of made me go, man, let's do this every Saturday. But then I realized it was about a 3 to 4 day recovery, I heard from everybody on the painting. Not quite as young as we all used to be. But I just a shout out again to Leadership Rocklin and Rocklin Chamber of Commerce. I just thought that was a wonderful way to show the students of Rocklin Unified and the staff of Rocklin Unified that their community appreciates them, that they would rally together for this project. Additionally, we all sit on a variety of committees, and so I know we'll be having our city committee coming up, our 2x2, so looking forward to conversations with city and our shared use space and talking about those a little more. But we just had a facilities committee meeting with President Price. And I just think, it's so important that we are always looking at our facilities. And I'm glad that's on the agenda tonight, and we'll get to talk about that a little bit later. But I just felt like it was another great opportunity for us to really get an entire picture of the entire district and the vast needs that we do have, but to not be dissuaded by that, but to look at what can the board do now? What can we do, and what can we chunk away, and what can we prioritize at this time? And so I just wanted to appreciate President Price and Superintendent Stock and the cabinet that worked to put that facilities committee meeting together, because I know every time we call a committee meeting, that probably means hours and hours of work of staff like Craig Rouse to prepare for that committee meeting. So I appreciate you for the work that you've done, but I think clearly that's an important topic, not only to the board, but to our students and our staff. So thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. Didn't realize that there's 3 pages of notes that she goes through, so amazing. Great to hear all the fascinating things and the fun things that our schools are doing. Great to see new principals and that coming through Rocklin. And then from just a committee meeting update, myself and Chief Dosanjh, we're on the Reef Committee, going through all the different scholarship applications. I know they're going to put the soiree back in, and just good to see things turn the corner and moving in the right direction with that committee. So thank you.
Adriana, is this your last time up on the stand?
Yes.
I thought so. We have been so honored to have you with us. It's been wonderful, and you've done such an excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You set a standard for others, and we appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
I will echo my pleasure at the Crystal Apple Awards. They were amazing. I think everybody should go and see them, because they bring joy to your heart to see how much kids appreciate their teachers, and then to see the teachers' eyes fill with tears while the kids are saying what a difference that teacher has made in their lives. It's kind of what it's all about. So it is just the most spectacular thing to witness. I was also going to congratulate Rucola being nominated the 2025 California Distinguished School for Exceptional Student Performance. That's very, very exciting. Not surprising, because they are an awesome school with amazing teachers, but very exciting to see that. And then also congratulate the outstanding employees and teachers of the year who were honored this week, recognized for outstanding dedication and leadership and their impact on student success. We're very proud to be part of Rocklin because we have teachers and staff like them. And then I just wanted to give a shout out for the teachers and staff for spring, because they are moving into some crazy times with state testing and open houses and performances and assemblies and big field trips, assessments and parties and cabin fever that the kids are going to be having while they're trying to get them to learn in the classrooms. So good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you. Superintendent Stock, do you have any comments you'd like to share?
I won't congratulate Rukla again or mention how wonderful the Crystal Apple Awards were, but on the Employees of the Year, just wanted to add a little bit as well that a few other of our employees, and again, it's a wonderful tradition that we go out in the school bus and surprise folks and welcome them, but a couple of our other folks that were recognized that same day were our Counselor of the Year, Tim Worth at Rocklin High School, and Holly Gottwalls, our Secondary Teacher of the Year, who teaches in our Adult Transition Program, and then Angeli Riddell that teaches at Granite Oaks Middle School's our K-8 Teacher of the Year. So just, we have great people, and they make the district great, but it was fun to get to do that with members of Cabinet, our labor partners, and we look forward to that. They'll be honored more at a countywide event in May, and so just, we're thankful for them and all they do for us. We also have upcoming some work with our labor partners and our labor management work this spring, tomorrow and Friday, and looking forward to the progress being made there, and appreciate the commitment of the board and of all involved in that. And then we are, as I share, we are open for enrollment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at our website for your convenience. If you know someone, tell someone, because we want to get a seat ready for them for the fall.
Thank you. We will now move to item 8.1, the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted by one motion, followed by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the Board of Trustees or staff request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Any items will be voted upon following the motion to approve the consent calendar. Does any trustee wish to remove an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action?
I'd like to remove item 8.16, please.
8.16. Okay, Trustee Sadoff requested to remove consent item 8.16 for separate discussion and action. Is there a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda items?
So moved.
First by Trustee Counter.
Second.
Second by Trustee Hepp. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Trustee Sadoff, would you please speak to item 8.16?
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to pull this. This is our comprehensive school safety plans for all of our campuses, and there is just so much incredible work and time that gets put into these, and I know that it's consistent with what we do every year, but I find it important to pull it not out of concern, but out of appreciation for all of the work that went into these. For parents listening in and even staff, like these are incredibly important documents. You know, some of these range, I think it's 100. I think one of them I was reading 104 pages, right? And so I just am not only appreciative of the work, those who sit on the school site councils for each of our campuses. I just want to take a moment to appreciate all of our school site councils, the parents and the staff that participate in those. Having been on those before, I know that that is not easy work, but it's incredibly important work. And so for those that aren't familiar with these documents, I just think they're really important, especially you know, for parents to look at their school's document. It talks about things like the disaster procedures for the school. It even goes over, you know, status of school crime. I mean, our campuses are so safe, incredibly safe. It was great to read so many of these really positive reports. Talks about policies and procedures regarding school discipline, you know, so many important things on here, even the pickup line for parents. I was reading through that going, oh, these are interesting. But I just really more wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for the incredible work. I didn't have concerns. I really appreciated the continuity and consistency between the campuses as well. For us that are looking at multiple schools, it makes it, it was an easier read to be able to look at, okay, what campuses do we maybe need to provide more support to, or focus on more, or assist in a variety of areas. And so overall, I just wanted to show my appreciation and also just highlight the incredible effort that went into these.
I also would like to make a comment, Hannah, about the organization of the documents. I remember going through them last year, and though they were all beautiful and amazing in their own individual way, it was difficult to make comparisons across schools, and the way you organized them and your team organized them this year. And I know that was Trustee Counter actually asked for that last year. It was so helpful, and it was so easy to go through and compare and read and know where to find things. Really, really appreciate all the work that went into that. And on that note, I did go through and read them, and I just wanted, there was something that stood out to me, Antelope Creek and Rocklin Elementary, and I just wanted to give a shout out for their effort in creating after-school programs and making that available for the kids. I just think it's super important, and I know there's a lot of people working on that and a lot of people coming up with ideas to make that time valuable for the kids. So I wanted to comment on that, but really, really appreciate how easy it was to go through them.
I concur.
Thank you. I know we've had conversations over the years. It was, and again, just from a continuous improvement standpoint, from a making it better, it's good to see, hey, take something, clean it up a little, adjust. Nothing, I think, from the outside, this is probably like what, number 47 on your list of top 5 on an annual basis. So thank you for pulling all that together, making it work. It does look amazing. It's very structured. It makes sense. It for the outside layperson's perspective, reading it, I think it provides all the information that a parent would need. And so thank you.
I appreciate the feedback, and it has been a journey with these to help them be consistent across sites. So thank you for the feedback, and I think that we've landed in a place that makes them actually easier for schools to complete, because we can take on some of the work for them with inputting data, and they can do the work of analyzing with their site council. So truly appreciate the feedback, and I'm glad that this year we are in a more consistent place.
Thank you. Us too. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda item 8.16?
So moved.
You guys want to rock, paper, scissors, or?
I'll second.
Okay, first by Trustee Sadoff, second by Trustee Hub. Georgia, will you please call the roll?
Adriana Boyce,
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff,
Yes.
Derek Counter,
Yes.
Julie Hupp,
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland,
Yes.
Rochelle Price.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you. Item 9.1, come back up, Hannah. Director of Innovation, School Programs, and Accountability, to update us on the local control and accountability plan.
Had to switch stacks of paper. Good evening, President Price, trustees, Superintendent Stock. Excited to be here tonight to share with you progress we've made towards updating our local control and accountability plan. During the presentation tonight, I'll share with you our draft goals, actions and services, and a few augmentations that the advisory committees will be looking into later on this month when they meet. I'll also share increased and improved services we have planned for our English learner students, our students experiencing homelessness, and our foster youth, and close with next steps. We don't anticipate any changes in our 3 goal areas for the coming year. All of the areas of focus continue to be relevant for the coming year. Goal 1 will continue to focus on math achievement with a focus on particular student groups. Goal 2 will focus on social, emotional, mental health, and behavioral supports. And goal 3 will maintain and monitor our district's programs and then look for enhancements in the areas of early literacy, attendance improvement, and serving the unique learning needs of all students, which we are particularly interested in focusing on our English learner students and our students with disabilities and how we can differently meet their needs. There are 2 slides in the presentation that look like this one. These slides you've seen in past years as well. These orient you to a set of data that we have that's identifying that this continues to be a need. It shows trends of what we've heard from our educational partners, including our parents, staff, and students, as well as trustee input. And then the right-hand side is where I'll focus during the presentation. So this is particular feedback we have received this year. Some of this has been received in past years too. But on the right-hand side, you see that staff report a need for increased training in curriculum and instructional materials in mathematics, especially to support English learner students and students with disabilities in the general education classroom. So focusing on how do we meet the needs of these student groups while they're in our classrooms and not while they need a pull-out type service or an intervention type service, but how do we meet their needs differently in the classroom and making sure our staff have the tools in their tool belt to meet those increasingly different needs we're seeing. Parents and staff report the needs to close gaps early in students' educational experiences, meaning we don't want to wait for students to get to high school or even middle school before we address their learning needs. The gaps get wider and wider as students get older, and so the younger we can intervene with students, the better. Students are reporting the need for ongoing access to staff and tutors to help them before and after instruction. So not necessarily before and after the school day, but before and after they receive instruction from teachers in the classroom. So different mechanisms during the school day and during the class period to have their individualized needs met. And then staff, students, and parents report the need for sustained access to intervention staff and everyday math classes. We do still have 2 advisory committee meetings coming up later this month where we'll continue to hear input and continue to utilize that feedback to adjust actions that you will see in draft form in May. So ongoing services in our LCAP, 2 slides on this. I'll go just an overview here. So continue with the interventions we have built into the school day. We'll have 3 everyday math sections at each of our comprehensive high schools. We will add additional aid time at our elementary schools to help provide intervention during that walk to learn model. We'll also continue with 9th grade class size reduction, our math instructional coaches, and our program specialists to facilitate continuous improvement. We will also have targeted tutoring to support our student groups, continue our work with common assessments and data analytics, bring in additional professional development, and continue with our supplemental math programs. The few areas where we're looking to augment and we'll be seeking input this evening as well as later on this month are in 4 areas related to Goal 1. So the first 2 have to do with professional development. The first one is looking at do our educators need and want to receive more opportunities for working in professional learning communities, and do they feel like they need enhanced tools or additional tools in their tool belt to most effectively work with the limited time they have in their professional learning communities. The second is related to professional development in mathematics, looking at those student groups I was referencing earlier. So what additional professional development do our educators want related to English learners and students with disabilities and best meeting their needs in the classroom? I shared a little bit about this at the mid-year update, but looking at trialing different tutoring opportunities, so I think we've landed in a good place with what we can do with after-school tutoring, but we are also seeking to trial some tutoring through an online platform during the day. And so is that something that students could gain access to during Flex, for example, in the high schools, so that there is an opportunity to have one-on-one support or small group support that is through a more tutoring-based setting to help fill skill gaps or get just-in-time classwork support. So that's a trial we're going to hopefully launch this school year so that we can get some data on, is this something that seems to be meeting that need that students were calling out, or were they seeking something else more? We know that they're also interested in more peer tutoring opportunities, so we're looking into a lot of different areas, but one of them that's come up is that varsity tutoring online platform.
Who would supervise that? Not their actual teacher?
Right now, no, it would not be their actual teacher. So it would be, we can do it in a few different ways, and those are the logistics that we're working out right now.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No, just that we're seeking to trial that, and I think that we have some ideas on how that could be implemented, but it hasn't started yet because there are some specifics that need to be smoothed out. That being one of them. Thank you. We also need to review alignment of our elementary math assessments with report card grading periods. So we received some good feedback from our educators that the math assessments are helpful in some ways that they're giving, but they don't always align with the ways that and the times that we need to report out to parents. And so although they might be helpful instructional tools in the classroom, they then need to use different assessments to be able to report to parents. And is there a way we can think about together how to align that differently so that we're not needing to assess quite so often, and that we can use the same assessments for reporting purposes as we can for instructional improvement. So that's something we've heard and something we'll bring back to the committees as an area we can work on and continuously improve. In the area of goal 2, so behavior, mental health, and social emotional supports, we know that our data shows an ongoing need to address school connectedness and student sadness. We also know that we have seen now a 6th year of stabilization, which is progress for students who have suicidal ideation. And that's an area that we have had ongoing focus on in our LCAP work, is trying to target what are the behavioral, mental health, and social emotional supports that we can provide students to curb that trend we were seeing where that need was increasing in our community. And so we were, any number in that category is too high. Any percentage of student in that category is too high, and it's an ongoing work that we will continue to do. But we are pleased to report for the 6th year that we do see a stabilization in that number. And so that's not an increasing need. Over on the right-hand side, input we've received this school year, staff report the need to sustain social, emotional, mental health, and behavioral personnel and the resources they have to serve students. They're referring in many cases to our mental health and counseling staff on our schools. Parents report the need for clear communication regarding access and the referral process for services on our campuses. Staff report the need for ongoing training and behavior support personnel to support students with high behavioral needs. This is mostly in our elementary schools, students that have significant behavioral needs, and making sure that there's ongoing training and additional staff that can help intervene in behavior escalations. Staff also report the need for a team approach when behavior intervention plans are developed. So teachers want to be involved so that the behavior intervention plan can be implemented in their classroom and that they've had input in the creation of those plans. So we're exploring a team approach there. And then students and staff report the need to address derogatory language on our campus. So you'll see many of the same services in next year. We're proposing the same services next year, actually not many of, the same services next year as we had this year in our K-8 schools. We have so that includes our 7 through 12 counseling program, sustaining our elementary counseling program with 6 counselors, 1 counselor for every 2 elementary schools. We will have ongoing school-based mental health supports through Wellness Together, sustaining our mental health specialists for Victory High School, staff PD and resources for personal social well-being, breaking down the walls in every 15 minutes at secondary schools. That's one of the differences we see at the high schools for next year, is that they will have the opportunity to go with every 15 minutes instead of breaking down the walls to not have one program get a little old for students, to have the opportunity for a few different options and then cycle them back through the following year. And then there will be a ongoing family education series with Parent University. A couple of additional ongoing services are the ongoing integration of PBIS with social emotional learning at all of our K-8 schools. Continue bully prevention and expect respect work, focusing on educating students around decreasing derogatory language in our schools. And the bully prevention education also addresses cyberbullying that occurs. We will also sustain our behavior response teams that were started this year and sustain increased behavior analyst staff. So the few augmentations we're looking at are to explore a centralized referral process and intervention team process. You saw a need that parents report the need for clearer communication, and we're considering addressing that through a more universal approach to referring students into these interventions. That maybe if we try to centralize the way in which you are referred to services and supports, then you wouldn't have to learn a whole new system every time your student matriculates to a new school as they get older. So that's a thought, because that has been a need that's been addressed from our parent community previously. But we need to continue to consider what are the drawbacks of this idea, that we do have some schools who have really established referral systems, and will that decrease their referral rates while maybe making it better in other scenarios. So that's something we're still considering. We're also looking to increase the number of substance use prevention and abuse resources, increase case management support for our students experiencing homelessness and foster youth, looking at a classroom-based intervention pilot to strengthen our classroom PBIS and support students who have higher behavioral needs, and address and support the classroom teachers' needs in those settings as well. And then also looking to increase opportunities for professional development for our early education professionals. We're going to have some of our youngest learners next year in our transitional kindergarten classrooms, which is really exciting. And so we want to make sure that our teachers feel well equipped to meet all of the different needs that come with some students who will be 3 for a couple of weeks, and 4-year-olds in the TK classroom. So we're actually hosting an upcoming professional learning session where our TK teachers, including our new ones for next year, and our preschool teachers will have the opportunity to work together and collaborate, because our preschool teachers have been doing this for many years, and we have a lot of learning we can do together and from our educators in the field. So just a few highlighted services. As we know, Goal 3 holds all of the unique programs that make Rocklin Unified great. So just a couple of highlighted ongoing services is that we will expand the implementation of phonics and phonemic awareness, that science of reading aligned work, into 2nd grade next year. And so that's a new expansion that will happen. We'll continue our attendance improvement programs and continue with our 2 special education instructional coaches. We'll also expand the use of artificial intelligence and associated professional development next year. We will continue to offer credit recovery within the school day, which will be 2 sections at each of our comprehensive high schools. That takes place during the day and eliminates any barriers to getting to credit recovery options outside of the school day or during the summer months. And then we will continue with our elementary expanded learning opportunity program, our summer camp program, and our summer school program. Increased and improved services for English learner students will continue next school year. We are looking to have the same level of services next school year as we had this school year. However, we always adjust staffing based on where the students are. So although the staffing levels across the district might not change, we do look at where are the needs and where do we need to move our itinerant staff to address those needs. And then and we will have ongoing support from a newcomer support teacher who's been able to reach out and work specifically with our TK through 1st grade teachers this year on how do we address our youngest learners in the classroom who are coming in without the English language yet, and how do I support them in the classroom. So that's been a great change that was added this school year that will continue next year. And lastly, increase and improve services for our foster youth and our students experiencing homelessness. These services will continue. During the May presentation, I will be able to share an update with you on how our differentiated assistance work is going with Placer County Office of Education. We're doing work specifically related to our students experiencing homelessness and how do we address their needs in the area of chronic absenteeism and suspension rates. And so we actually had a great 5-hour workshop today with a team. There was 3 principals, Mr. Flowers, myself, Director Davidson, our student information system specialist, a number of our program specialists. So really diving in together, looking at data, thinking about where are the needs, what are the needs, who are these families, and really considering a few change ideas that we're going to be able to put in place this school year, and then write some of those change ideas into the LCAP for next year. So That's pretty exciting work. Is long days of work doing that, but you know, it's not. This is a student population where we can have significant impact, and we need to have significant impact. And so our whole team was excited to dive in today. They did feed us lunch, which is quite nice, and so we'll share more about that in May. So wrapping it up, we will continue implementing current actions, monitoring outcome data. We'll work with our educational partners to draft actions and metrics for next school year. We'll finalize those expenditures. We'll review the draft LCAP and proposed expenditures here on May 7th. Hold a public hearing, annual update, local indicators, and budget overview for parents later in May, and bring the final LCAP for approval in June. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much. Yes, we'll open it up to board comments and questions. We appreciate all of your hard work on this. On slide 8, I'll just go first if that's okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you are hearing about communication? I know you mentioned a referral system. Is there anything else that you've got planned, or are you to the specific part of that yet?
Some of that comes from when we're working with our advisory groups, that they'll communicate with us at particular schools that they're not sure how to access certain services, whereas they might have come from another school where that referral form was live and available to families. At another school, you might have to talk with the parents. Talk with the classroom teacher to have access to the services. So we're just thinking about, how do we make a parent-facing version where parents can know, at this school, this is how I access services for my student. What we recommend always is that if any family has a concern or an inquiry about their student, we always want our parents starting with their classroom teachers, because classroom teachers have that greatest connection to students, and then they can help refer them. And at the high school level, if they're not quite sure which of the classroom teachers, maybe it's not an academic need, to reach out to that student's counselor. So that's the best path to gain access to support. And then it's just trying to evaluate for some of these higher level services that we have, either the mental health services or the counselors at the elementary school. How do we help our families know what is available, and how can we help them know how to get referred if they need it?
Yeah, that really addresses my question, because I appreciate the efforts for those parents that do know what the services are, that now, okay, then step 2, right, is how do you get to them? My bigger concern, and what I hear about the most, is we don't even know what the services are that are offered. So I trust you. I know you're on it. I want to be sure that parents understand what the options are available to them. And then, step 2, how do they get to them? Thank you. I appreciate that. I know you're on that. And my second question was about, can you tell me a little bit more about Expect, Respect? How long have we done that?
This is our first year.
Okay, because it said continue, so I wanted to be sure that I hadn't missed something. So tell me a little bit more.
Thank you, yes. So at the elementary school level, this Expect, Respect work is actually, this year is the first year we're calling it Expect, Respect, but there are lessons that have been ongoing in our elementary schools taught by our classroom teachers that are related to our bully prevention work. And one of those lessons is about choosing words, right? And just being really thoughtful about the words that we choose. Because words can be harmful and they don't have the opportunity to be taken back, right? And so at the elementary school level, easily, I guess, we can take words back, of course. We all make mistakes in life, but they don't have the ability to be easily taken back. And so there's a co-taught lesson by a classroom teacher and the school counselor that helps go into, with an age-appropriate nature, what are those words. At the middle school level, it's the Expect, Respect work is happening during Bully Prevention Month of October.
Okay.
And they address this in a few ways. They addressed it through an assembly, and then also there was a co-created lesson where the teachers worked together with the counselors and developed the lesson that could be taught in the homeroom classes, to make sure that students understood the harmful nature that derogatory language can have on campus. And when we toss out these words, the impact that they can have on others, even if that was potentially not the intent of the way you were saying them. You might be joking with a friend, but someone else walks by and hears that, and that now they have to go take a math test. And what is the impact that that language might have on them? And so all of those were shared. That lesson was shared at back to school night, I believe, this year at the elementary school, that those lessons were going to be taking place, and a parent letter with that.
Okay.
And then at the high school level, we wanted to have a slightly different approach. So this year, the Expect Respect work was not implemented in the high schools.
Okay.
What happened at the high schools is we worked together, that work is ongoing with a team from each high school, all 3 high schools, and we're thoughtful with them about where can we intentionally integrate this work into classroom lessons that are happening in English language arts, or classroom lessons that are happening in history, or where do there need to be standalone areas where, hey, at this school we expect respect, and that means that the language that we use is going to be respectful of each other and others. And so that work they are engaging with now. And we identified this path because when we started with our social emotional learning curriculum, right, we went with, okay, everyone needs to start with these lessons. And I think we have learned from that to know, unless we're very intentional with how we're going to roll this out, and really engage our high school staff and students in what these lessons could look like, we may end up with, this doesn't work for us, this isn't landing well for us, this doesn't mean anything for us. And so we wanted to be very engaged, hear student voice in the process, hear staff voice in the process, have there be individualism by school as well, so that it would land well and become part of the culture of that school that we expect respect.
Fantastic. I love that so much. I appreciate the purposefulness. We definitely want our kids to buy into that and not, the hand to what we want to come across, and I think it's really important. So thanks for answering those questions. Anybody else?
Yeah. Just real quick, I want to say thank you. I want to go back to 2021. Our board made a commitment to really focus on math, make the improvements, engage the teachers, prioritize the funding and the efforts, and I think, again, nothing against ELA, science, and all the other courses, but it's just great to see that that's still rolling through. We've made some great progress. We continue to make progress. It's just good to see that we continue to have a math priority here in Rocklin, and it's just, kind of looking back at history, it's just good to see that it's coming through the LCAP also, so thank you for that.
An echo of thanks for work. LCAP is incredibly important work. It really not only just directs the dollars, but it really focuses with actionable steps that we're going to take. And so I know at a future meeting, we'll be kind of looking at some of those actionable steps, but I really appreciate this kind of snapshot look. One thing I just wanted to point out, because I know these are our 3-year goals, right, is I really appreciate goal 3, that, in the past, goal 3 was really maintaining our programs. We have phenomenal programs, but the call out in that of early literacy. I think that we're doing some great early literacy work, and I noticed you highlighted that in this document, and I really appreciate that. And I wanted to call that out because I know we can have incredibly lofty goals as a board for the district, and I have to tell you, I'm continually impressed with the way you guys respond to that. Specifically, for example, the area of tutoring. I know we had a previous conversation about that, and it's called out specifically in this document multiple times. I thank you. Early literacy, I think, could easily get lost in a district our size, and so I do appreciate that being a specific call out, and the work on that. And I'm hopeful as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to see some additional steps and actionable steps on that. Specifically for some of these, population groups that may not have access to resources outside of their typical school day. And so I think we've done a phenomenal job with math and really trying to get them those resources. I know we also had previous conversations about what additional resources, how can we look at them differently, make sure we have math. I just wanted to do a shout out for early literacy because I do think that's really important. Although it's not a standalone goal, I do think it's really important that we continue to see actionable steps on that.
Thank you. Really appreciate all the updates. I have a couple things. So I had mentioned earlier, I talked to the elementary principals with the intention of just getting a little bit of data for our next agenda item. But what happened in the majority of the situations was we ended up spending a good amount of time talking about intervention and learning support. And, no one was surprised with, the ending of the one-time money that kind of came about during COVID. But I think there definitely is concern about how students will continue to be supported, knowing that it won't be at the level that it has been for the last handful of years, and knowing that students have really benefited from it. And, I think some of these points in ongoing and potential augmentations address some of those things. I'm really interested in how the school day tutoring will shape up. You've mentioned high school, but I'm even thinking middle school, because I know we heard a bit about, particularly from Springview, just concern with math and making sure that students are still getting that support, and that seems like maybe a creative option there. With the PD, looking at the training, not sure, would that be specifically for teachers, or, now that we're moving to these instructional aides to help with the learning intervention, would they be getting have some of that available to them too, possibly? I know I heard that Beth has been doing a great job, so I don't know if that's something or just a maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. They will actually be receiving ongoing support. So our intervention aides will receive support in a professional learning community. That has been a practice actually led by Kylie Bray under Beth Davidson's leadership as well. Having ongoing professional learning community meetings, receiving training in the intervention curriculum in the supplemental instructional materials that are purchased for intervention. I think that was an area where we have been able to provide them training and opportunity to connect on how to use those materials best with students. There will need to be now ongoing training with teachers in those intervention materials, because teachers need to guide the work that instructional aides are doing in their classrooms, and wanting to make sure that our teachers are well versed in they don't need to have all the specifics of the intervention materials, but what are those interventions available? And we've had a few schools trial those models during the last couple of years. And so we have some models to look at of how do we do this best in schools that have lead teachers for intervention, that are classroom teachers that are then leading the work of those instructional aides.
Is that, I know, thinking about, so I know Rucola and Quarry Trail had a different model. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, because that also seemed like a maybe creative way, not that schools want to restructure everything that they've been doing, but potentially sustainable with changes that have been made. So that sounds really great. Yeah, I think, one of the conversations, just kind of the bottom line that with a reduction, fewer students, potentially will get served. So it just, with the LCAP, it seems to go in line, because obviously this is kind of earmarked for some, student groups. And, if we're looking at that and targeting these groups, it's like, okay, well, at least we know then we can continue to pull in, because we're using some resources for those students. So overall, encouraged, by conversations and by seeing how this is going. And then the other thing was just behavior. It's really great to see some of that on here, just more support, because that was another thing that just sounds like it can be really impactful in a classroom setting, and a lot of times just seeming like knowing that there's support available and having that ability to have, like I think even the staff member that we recognize is involved in some of that, and so it just seems like it has a really positive impact and prevents burnout. So thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move to item 9.2. Jennifer Stahlheber, Deputy Superintendent Business and Operations, to present information on one-time school facilities projects.
Good evening, President Price, Trustee, Superintendent Stock. So tonight, we're going to discuss potential one-time school facility projects. So while the district regularly budgets for facility maintenance, like all California districts, our needs exceed our available resources. So thanks to the board's strong fiscal leadership, we may have the ability to use one-time reserves to address some of these needs. So we're going to discuss this tonight. And so we're going to talk about some possible funding sources, some options for projects, some of the considerations we want to think about when we're looking to how we're going to allocate the funds, and then program parameters and components, and then we'll have some next steps at the end and some times for question. And feel free to pepper in questions as we move through this and look at all the different slides. So we're starting with some fun, where the funds would come from. And so at second interim, we had shared where we were with our reserve balance, and we have a really healthy reserve right now. We've committed some funds, and we're going to discuss some of those commitments on the next slide. But even after those commitments, we still have unassigned fund balance that exceeds 13%. So we know we do have funds available to invest in our facilities. And so these are some of the set-asides that we've already committed for future expenditures. The majority of these are committed because we don't have regular ongoing revenue streams to fund these items. And so you can see our textbook adoption, that's an item we talked about at second interim that we really project out for multiple years because they kind of can be smaller in cost or they can be really high in cost, but we use our restricted lottery funds to fund that, but we know it's not enough to cover all of our needs. And so we just kind of project it out to commit some of those reserves for those amounts that exceed. And right now we're looking at a plan that takes us through 2930. We also have some donations and student funds that we carry over year to year. We've put some technology. We went one-to-one during COVID, and so we have no revenue stream for that. And at the time that we invested to go one-to-one devices for our students, we had grant funds. And so we've reserved some fund balance. And we also have technology budget that we put out every year for our equipment replacement, but we know once you go one-to-one, it exceeds what we're able to put in our regular budget every year. We also have those attendance mitigation where we're trying to reach our aspirational pre-COVID target of 96.6, and we've made a lot of progress, but we're not quite there. So we also commit some funds, just kind of showing that growth we still could have in our revenues if we were to hit that target. And then we have some commitments that were related to some new items. So the self-reassessment. So self is our excess layer of liability insurance. And due to some legislation that has increased some litigation in the state, school districts throughout the state are receiving reassessments to help pay for this pool that is available for school districts. And so we don't know what that's going to be year over year, so we have committed some of our reserves to kind of help pay for that as it comes to fruition. And then we also have the Whitney High School Field Turf Replacement Project. It's at the end of its useful life, and so we've committed funds because we don't have a revenue stream for that. Did you have a question?
A quick question, thank you. I noticed there's a few blocks on here that have a dash, no dollar amount given, and specific mental health programs caught my eye because I know that we do have funding set aside in our LCAP for that. What does the dash there mean?
So at adopted budget, we still had it in committed, but we've now added it into our MYP. And so we don't have it as committed because it's now sitting out there in those projected years in our actual budget.
Okay, so just for those looking in, the programs are in the budget, they're just in the actual projected
Yep.
budget, not in our committed reserve
Yep,
funds.
we've made
Okay.
them ongoing expenditures.
Just making sure it didn't look like a cut.
Yep. So that's just to talk about, this was really to discuss what are some of the things we've already committed funds for. And so when we look at those available unassigned, uncommitted reserves, you know, that's where we really have the opportunity to explore how can we maybe take care of some of these facility projects that are one-time in nature, that we don't have specific revenue streams for, and then what would the board, how would they want to do it? You know, how do we want to allocate those funds, and what would that look like? What are some of the projects that we would want to focus on? And so we know we recently had our school safety assessments, and so we know we'll probably have some projects that just rise to the surface from those assessments where needs have been identified. We also have one-time site prioritized needs, which we have many examples because we hear from our sites, like shade structures, playground equipment, scoreboards, marquee, campus beautification, maker spaces. I think every site probably would have multiple ideas if given the opportunity to use some one-time funds for all sorts of different things that are going to serve our students and our communities. So some of the considerations as we look at how we would want to allocate these funds, and these really were just kind of throwing, you know, pasta at the wall to see, you know, what kind of sounds good, what do we want to look at. So we looked at all of our different sites by type. So we have elementary, we have 12 different sites that are elementary schools. We have 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and an alternative high school. And then we also have some unique programs like transition. We have transition program, we have CTE programs. We have a lot of unique programs that we may want to invest in because they don't have outside revenue streams that we can use, and really they probably have some pretty significant needs. And so those are some things that we could look at. We also looked at maybe we want to allocate based on the age of a site, right? We have a site that's only 4 years old. They probably don't have the same needs that one of our sites that, you know, is over 20 years old and hasn't had some updates. They probably have some greater needs. So those are some things we can look at. We could come up with a methodology that blends both of them. We could also look at other options that as you're talking about it and discussing, and since you've been out there having some of these conversations, you might have come up with some items that we haven't thought of. So we just wanted to kind of put something out there, food for thought, some considerations as we look at this. We also talked about, like, well, what would that program look like? Do we want to spread it out over 2 years, 3 years? And how would we coordinate all of the projects? We know every year we have a lot of projects. We probably go through hundreds and hundreds of work orders every year. So how do we fit this in? And so really we would want to create a process for our sites to make those decisions, submit a plan so that our facilities department could then implement it, but plan it into our other workload, work schedule, so that we're not getting to other things that we would typically want to get to. And some services may be that we're going to work with outside vendors or firms because maybe we don't have that inside expertise, but this would help us be able to plan it because there would still be coordination with the sites that we would need to plan for. So what we put down potentially for now is just over 3 years. So if we work over the next couple months to come up with a plan, an allocation methodology, would we then say we're going to start and have our first round of projects come out in 25, 26, 27, and then 27, 28. But of course, that's under the board's purview. And if the board's pleasure is that we're going to extend it for multiple years, we can do that as well. Because what's nice is having that reserve really gives us that flexibility and the ability to make these decisions and do with it what we really feel is going to be the best bang for our buck and really make an impact for our sites and the community. So next steps. Come back on May 7th. We can do a board study session or we can discuss it further in a board meeting. And then you just let us know what additional information would be helpful for you for making decisions and then just moving forward with this. And I have Mr. Rouse here available to help with some questions because he'll be much more knowledgeable on the facility piece.
Thank you so much. I am confident we've got questions. So who wants to start? Go ahead.
I don't know how many questions I have, but thank you for setting this up. And I have to say, every site principal that I talked to, I mean, there was such a wide variety of site priorities, things where it was like, what's top of your mind, you know, top of the list. Really varied, but one consistent thing, they had nothing but positive things to say about you and facilities and the team working on their sites, just that everyone does the absolute best job that they possibly can. And so that was really reassuring to hear. And so, you know, I think I would be interested in hearing what the rest of you, if you have thought about this idea of blending or just a straightforward by, you know, primary versus secondary. I think we are kind of in, I don't know if it's unique or not, but, you know, we had this huge population growth. And so it seems as though we have a lot of sites, similar age, a lot of similar aging and wear and tear, and, you know, kind of a feeling of, you know, you start going down that path of talking about the list, and, you know, it starts to become big and costly. Just kind of keeping that in mind when we're like the site age, I think we have like a big chunk that kind of fall into a similar range, right?
I was just going to make a comment that I think it's important to talk about parameters because there's so many needs, and there are things that are listed under facilities like you guys were talking about earlier in the day, and I think we need to separate out what we might be talking about, make a different category, if that makes sense.
Are you meaning like maintenance
Well,
versus
we're not
one-time
talking-
projects?
Yes, well, for example, we're not talking about putting a portable on a site or, you know, renovating the cafeteria. So we need to think about the parameters of what we would be looking at.
I do think that there seemed to be a sensitivity to that, you know, with the sites, and knowing that there's a limitation, it's a one-time chunk, and wanting to maximize the impact of that, and that some of those projects are not. And I think it'll be good to be able to talk about this again in that session, because we did have, you know, they all received those safety reports. And so then that plays into it too, where is that something that we want to be part of this? Is that going to be separate? Like they talked about window coverings, that was something that came up a lot, locks and, you know, things like that, that with some refining and just some additions. So I think that would fall under, you know, kind of looking at categories of just where this money covers.
One of my questions, and I think it's more for my colleagues, is, I mean, eventually, yes, for you as well, is what can we afford? What is going to put us, I don't want to be at deficit spending, right? And I think I want to look at not only this year, but what are we at 3 years from now? I'm also just going to throw out, I'm interested in maybe adopting a board policy where we have a minimum reserve. I know a lot of other districts have that, and we currently don't. I would be interested in maybe, you know, we're at a 5 to 6% reserve. So even if it's 5 this year and 6 next, but we get to a point where we've got a board policy with a minimum reserve, I think that gives me a parameter to work within. And I'm grateful you brought up safety. I don't see that as part of this money. I hope that we can set aside, we need to maybe come up with somehow, that would be something that we'd need from you as a ballpark on what are our safety. I know we don't have all of our assessments. Do we have any of our assessments back yet?
We have approximately 5 to 6 of the
Okay.
school assessments, and they've been shared with schools to see are they accurate, are they not draft,
Okay.
and then we'll be having a
So,
presentation
in 4 weeks, could you come up with, you know, an estimated dollar amount that we would need for safety? You know, is that something doable? So we have a starting point. What do you think?
I think that we need to assess the reports first.
Okay.
And come up with what is our district standard going to be, because it could be wide variety of items that are on the, you know, the report. We first have to see what's on the report, and then, you know, meet together as a team and then bring something forward of what the recommendations are.
Okay. So I'll just speak for myself then. I'm hopeful that we have enough funds that school safety can be separate from this money that we're talking about. I would like to know what we can afford. I'm interested in a minimum reserve policy. And then I also, I heard from a couple sites, but I'm interested in hearing from them what their priorities are, what they see as their needs. I talked to one, and it was vastly different than what I would have guessed. It actually was an athletic director, and I thought for sure he would want this. And it was like, no, this is what I would have. This is what would serve more students. And so that is the boots on the ground, and I want to hear what they feel are their biggest needs.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I really want to hear from sites, and if we can somehow include them in the study session, that would be great. However we do that.
I think similar, we're all saying similar things. I think there's a handful of, whether it be site assessments, whether it be through the SARC, or however, obviously there's priorities, window coverings or ceiling tiles or et cetera. And I will assume those all fall in deferred maintenance, and we can balance that all out. So I think that's one. I agree with you, Trustee Price. I think we really, taking a look at any potential economic uncertainty, again, we did a great job of building a base. I don't want to walk away in a year or two later, so whatever additional percentage that is, I think we always have to maintain 3%. Is that another 3, another 4, another 5, whatever it is, I'm all in for having those conversations. I think, I guess what I say, it's a rising tide, loads all boats or floats all boats. So until we see a gigantic increase or an additional population increase in Rocklin, and we have a lot more students, great problem to have. That's where revenue is going to come from. I know that's a priority for all of us up here, RTPA, CSEA, all the leadership. Like, we all want to see student increase, and and that creates a lot of great problems and great solutions for other things. But until we get that, I think having that reserve and funding that is good. I really think, I'm interested in hearing what the sites have. I don't want us as a board to get into the position of, I'll pick on you, like, hey, Brett Hunter thinks this is a great idea, and everyone goes, okay, that's good, but somebody else. So I'd rather have the sites facilitate. If we give each site a certain number or some kind of a budget thing and let the sites figure it out, because I don't want to get this board into a position of picking winners and losers, because it's never going to work out right. And I think it's a great opportunity. And again, Mr. Hunter, thank you for being here. I know he's done some work with his team out there and with the parents. I think it's a great opportunity for the PTCs and the parent clubs and those of the sites to be engaged in that. Hopefully we can get to a point, and I'd love to see it, but some kind of a, hey, the site has X amount of dollars and the parents and PTC can support X amount. You bring those two groups together, and we're really doing great things on campus, site to site. So I'd love to see something like that. Again, I know it's a big ask, and I know it's relative to each site, and maybe high school is probably easier than the elementary schools, but I think this will give us a great opportunity to fund some of those things and let the sites figure out what's really important for them.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because, if we're going to spend a significant chunk of time, whether it's an agenda item or a board study session, that we have matching be part of an option. What are some ideas, and how could that look? In addition, when we talk about, high schools, I know we've got these 2 high schools, and then we've got a comprehensive high school. That Victory, I asked Mr. Flowers Day, has 86 students. So we've got to, figure out how they play and what are their needs. But also, Rocklin has 2,100, right? So let's be sure that we're working through, I don't know if it's, per student, how we divide that up. And then we have, I wrote it down. So we have, 6 schools that are over 30 years old. That's a lot. 7 schools over 21 years old, and only 1 school under 10 years old. So, there definitely are a lot of needs. And so I personally would like to see, some different ways, and maybe it's going to take having the site needs in front of us or in front of you so that we can balance what's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate the comments so far, and many of them I echo. I definitely want to make sure we have money set aside for those safety assessments. I think that's really important work. It's great that we do the assessments, but if we don't plan to actually respond to those assessments, and the assessments really didn't do us much good. So I want to make sure that that is a focus of ours, whether it be incorporated separate, as long as it's addressed alongside at the same time. I'm good with that. I do think it's good to have a conversation about these dollars, right? They're very, very limited. We're not talking hundreds of millions of dollars, right? We're talking, in the scheme of things, not a ton of money, but enough money to hopefully be able to assist some of our campuses, right? I do think it's important that we look at our maintenance needs, and I want to make sure these funds aren't just replacing maintenance needs and funds. We should still be doing our regular routine maintenance. We should still be making sure that if something's broken, we're hopefully fixing it, we're replacing it as much as possible, obviously, and still chomping away at those and not just replacing this with that. What I really was hoping we could envision these dollars would be maybe some of those projects that they get lost. Right? When you look at it and go, hey, we really need portables, or here's these 10 projects we could do that would really make a difference for our students and our teachers. But the reality is those projects get lost when there's these very large, expensive needs that we have that, if we're honest, our district it's always going to have. And so I want to be careful that we don't create such a difficult, formula or ranking process that some common sense projects that could really go a long ways for teachers and students get lost because money can go really quickly to one large project. But the reality is we could probably have a huge touch point for a lot of students and a lot of teachers with multiple smaller projects. So I want to make sure that we're balancing that. And we're utilizing this as, hey, this is a one-time small amount, but maybe we can do multiple smaller projects that do have big impact. I also think it is important, and gosh, I was trying to think, how do we go about this? And I'm hoping all the smarter people in the room will help find the solution. But I do think it's important that we do take into consideration that we may have programs, or we may have campuses, and I'll throw out Victory as one of them, that may not have the ability to garner outside funds like another campus might be able to. I'm also thinking of our Title I schools. I'm torn because they receive some additional funding, but that's typically used on their programs. And so, they may not have the community ability to raise funds for projects that maybe another campus can have. And so I want to make sure we somewhat take that into consideration, because just because there's a smaller number of students, to me, doesn't necessarily mean there's a smaller need. It could actually very well be different. They could have a greater need because they're unable to rally funds from parents that may not be able to support work that's doing at Victory. There might just be a lack of ability to do so, not desire, just lack of ability. So I do think we have to consider that and take that into consideration. And then also, I really appreciate the added document in here of the school sites by age. I believe a couple of you mentioned that already. But I do think that we have to look at that. Right? The campus I was on the other day, and they were repainting. I'm quite confident some of it looked very similar to actually what I played on when I was a kid. And we've done a phenomenal job at our district. But there are just some of those projects that it's not a safety need, and it's not, it may not be unsafe, so it kind of drops to the side. But this is our opportunity to really show value to our students and our teachers. So I'd love for us to look at a few of those things on maybe some of those campuses that it may not be a safety need, but it could go a long ways in encouraging that community and that campus.
I think that's a really good point when we're looking at these options to blend. Not that, a school would have a penalty because, you have a really active PTC and lots of parents that donate to your campus. But that is, that was something that came up, and Trustee Counter brought it up too. Some campuses do have PTCs that say, hey, we've raised this giant chunk of money, and if you pitched in, then we could make this happen. And other campuses, like Victory potentially, I thought it was great that you mentioned the adult transition program, because that is a physical location. They have needs too, but it's not, that's something we should probably look at. But what does that look like when we're calculating? Trustee Counter, I also agree, just, this idea of deferring to the sites, these principals and their teachers, they talk, they work together, they know their site better than anyone. And I worry that if we get too specific and too in the weeds on what these projects are going to be, that is going to maybe, not have the impact that we want. Like, for example, at Breen, they, a main concern is their garden. And so the pipes break, the irrigation breaks, they have to hand water. And at that school in particular, the garden is a very, very major part of their school. They have their garden docents, they do outdoor learning, where like that may, on paper, look like, oh, this is like routine maintenance, but really it's actually an integral part of what they do in education. And I don't think we would have that insight the way they will.
And I have some ideas because even in our conversations and as a leadership team talking about this, we did think of those same things. We know some of our sites have more active PTCs than others. And so I've kind of been percolating some ideas, letting it kind of marinate. And I'm thinking, we could come up with that dollar amount, that target that we're going to allocate, but we could also have a set aside so that as we're looking at the program come through and projects being completed and we see some dollars come in from the sites that have more active PTCs, we could use some of that set aside pot to help the sites that we see aren't getting that additional community support. So there are some ideas, and you can let me know, would you like me to bring multiple allocation methodologies where you can kind of see what it would look like once we come up with the ultimate big dollar amount, and then you can kind of look at those and say, does this fit kind of our vision, and then maybe even just kind of play with it, move things around, move it up or down. And as we look at that, we'll also be doing the safety assessment to see. I think part of the original discussion really was, do we want to just have an off-the-top committed amount for safety, period, and then we really look at this. So I can put some numbers together, and if we want to do a study session, that might give us a lot of time to really pass stuff around, get feedback, so that gives me time to then go back and really rework those numbers based on the feedback you guys provide. So let me know if that sounds like the direction we want to go and some of the next steps, and we'll start that work. But also probably between now and the next session or study session, whichever way we move, just start sending us ideas and we can start working on that.
Great. I'm sorry, do you mind?
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really, really like the idea of having safety as a separate fund. And this is separate from the maintenance budget, separate from program budget. And I just really want that to be clear so that people know what they're working with and know what their opportunities are. So when they're brainstorming at their sites, they're brainstorming in the right direction. I really like what Trustee Sadoff was saying about thinking in terms of projects that maybe seem like a pipe dream because there's too many super important things and expensive things that are needs. So these kinds of things just get put on the back burner and never come forward again. Things that you wouldn't think would rise to the top, but really campuses sort of dream of having, and something that can improve their campus and touch the most amount of students.
Yeah, thank you. And if I could add to that, to help with that, we did a lot of work to create the facilities master plan, right? And it came up with hundreds of millions of dollars of needs, and those are all really, really important needs. And I think that's a separate conversation for me. Like those are things we as a board are grappling with, and we just were able to look at a little over $50 million of allocation in the past for some of those portables and some of those needs. So I would hate for this to feel like a plug and play for sites. Sites did a lot of work to come up with campus assessments, not just safety, but actually, in the next 10 years, what does our facility master plan need to have in it? That was really, really important work. I don't want this to just feel like, now just resend to us what you put as your priorities for the facilities master plan, because I see these being different. Those were typically projects that were very, very large projects, right? We're talking, 10, 20, $50 million per project. Maybe not per project, but per campus. And so really looking at, I wouldn't want this to feel like a plug and play. I really want to hear from sites. If you had some dollars to work with, what's something that could be seen and felt and touched right now by the students, by the staff? Like, that's really what I'm looking for, because we also concurrently need to be addressing our facilities master plan, our 10-year strategy and plan for our facilities. But I just want to make it clear, I see those two separate as well.
In addition to that, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. In addition to that, I definitely wouldn't want to see these come to fruition any further than 3 years out. For me, that seems actually really far. I mean, I'm thinking, yeah, what would you love to happen in the next year? And I know we have red tape and lots of things that take lots of time and suppliers and all of the things, but that is, I still feel like it's important for you to hear that is our intention, is that things happen as quickly as possible.
So just kind of, if I can reflect back a little bit of what I heard to make sure I'm hearing it accurately, is one of the pieces is that wanting to, make sure that we do set aside for the safety assessments, and part of this will be is we're getting drafts of those, and then we have a presentation scheduled for May 28th for the board to kind of hear an overview. Is doing the idea of setting aside a block amount gives us flexibility to really look at those, think about a standard that would apply, and then come back to the board with specifics within that as well, and versus we have to figure all that out while we also want to make sure things happen quickly at sites. The other piece is including some interest and input from sites in a potential study session. And one option could be that we invite a few sites to just share their thinking, like how would they approach this, what would be their thoughts, because I think it may be important to not just hear the things, but also how they would approach this, because they will have a lot of interest. And that actually, ironically, may allow it to move faster, is if we turn over the opportunity for them to engage in that with some direction from the board and parameters, versus us having to go through that in a lot of that approval pieces. So those are things I heard of wanting to hear more. And then, is there an interest in asking Deputy Superintendent Stahlheber to come up with some possible allocation pieces, what they might look like, drafts you could move around, look at, just so it's not so generic, but more here's just things to work with. And then I also heard a need of wanting to hear what would it look like if we were to have a policy on a set of reserve amount? What would that, how would that, could we do that and do this? What would that look like? We can bring that information back as well, just because it may be a and not an or. And so those are the things I'm hearing you're interested in having brought back May 7th. Am I?
Yes, to clarify on the funds, on your third point, can you bring us back some options, but also make it really interactive so we can adjust things and it will adjust the rest of the cells? That would be great. And then also, regarding the policy, is it helpful to put on a pending agenda item?
I was going to ask that. Okay. That might need to be a pending agenda item.
We can absolutely bring that as a separate pending agenda item on May 7th. And what we could do is do it as an information item to allow you to discuss it and look at what would the impact be.
Sure.
And then it could be up for an adoption May 28th. And then that would be kind of in alignment with our budget adoption process.
Great. Does that sound good for everyone? We already have the study session on our calendars. Is that right?
Yeah, that's scheduled from 4 to 5:30, and so.
What do you think about that? The amount of time? Think we can do it?
If you want more time, we work here all day, so we'll be here. If you.
Oh yeah, we're the volunteers. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we will bring this as a study session, and then we will not have an agenda on the May 7th agenda, but potentially a May 28th item to follow. So did you want study session May 7th, and then nothing on the May 7th formal agenda, and then a
Right.
possibility of May 28th? Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate your help. So we do not have any public comment. And would you suggest that we formalize the pending agenda here, or is we're good to go? Okay.
No, I have direction, thank you.
Fantastic. Are there any additional trustees that have any additional item that they would like to consider being placed on the pending agenda? Okay, seeing none, let me find my little gavel. Meeting adjourned.